Welcome everyone back to weekly weather updates, and in today's video we can have a look at the latest from the live radar. Run through the weather warnings, as we do have warnings issued in the north for heavy rain and thunderstorms through parts of Northern Ireland there, as we've got very unsettled weather continuing over the coming days. As you can see on the live radar at the moment, multiple areas of heavy torrential rainfall, and we'll have a look at that in detail on the UKV as well, and also looking at the temperatures, which are going to be pretty abysmal for the time of year in certain regions, and even the best places really only scraping the low 20s. We'll also have a look at the longer range, look at the GFS, GM, Eastern UF and the ensemble to see if there is going to be any improvement as we head through the middle of July. But from a little peek I've done on the models, it is not looking great, with low pressure looking likely to sit nearby or on top of us really, and the air mass looks likely to be coming in from the west, which would encourage cool air masses, nothing too warm at all. So cool and unsettled looks like it's going to continue over the next 10 days and beyond. So do remember, if you enjoy my videos, make sure you like and subscribe, and remember to follow me on Twitter as well, the link's in description. So to start on the live radar, I did highlight this in yesterday's video. We're going to see a lot of very heavy rain in many northern regions today. Got a thunderstorm warning issued for Northern Ireland. We are seeing some torrential bouts of rain here. Not as many darker reds appearing here, so not as much thunderstorm activity as we've seen over the last few days, but nevertheless lots of widespread heavy rain. And this batch of rain is slowly decreasing in intensity as it spirals northwards, and we're seeing another weather system move in from the southwest, and this is going to give an area of very heavy rain through parts of England and Wales overnight tonight. So yeah, really quite horrible radar at the moment. Something you'd expect in the middle of winter, with stormy conditions coming in off the Atlantic. Not something you'd expect during the middle of July. And of course, it's going to take a massive hit to the temperatures. Now, I'm recording this later in the day, around 5:45, and you can see temperatures are best in East Anglia, still just about holding on to some of that hot and humid air we saw at the end of last week at the surface. And of course, furthest from the heaviest rain and the cloud, always meaning temperatures there rising to maybe the mid-20s, 24, 25 degrees, but most regions high teens, maybe just about reaching the 20-degree mark. The hot air isn't far away, just across the channel, many regions in the high 20s or low 30s, but the UK stuck under this low pressure system is keeping this air, very hot air, at bay, seeming down to parts of southern Spain into the mid-40s. Intense heat seen there. If you look at the weather warnings, you can see yellow thunderstorm warning issued for Northern Ireland and for the rest of this evening as well. Again, we had a look at it yesterday, and you can see thunderstorms developing early this afternoon and continue through this evening. Again, 20 to 30 millimetres in an hour, small chance of 40 to 60 millimetres in a few hours, high impact, low likelihood. But what we saw on the live radar is looking like the rainfall really is the main issue here. Less lightning and hail, with less of those darker red cores. And then we have this heavy rain, yellow warning issued for Scotland from 4 p.m. until 6 a.m. and it's for that persistent rain that's now sat through northern regions. So it's going to bring widely 15 to 25 millimetres, perhaps locally 30 to 50 millimetres, or as high as 70. High impacts, low likelihood, and again, that individual amount of rain isn't ridiculous, especially for these regions. It's quite high for the summer, but it's on top of all the thunderstorms we've seen in these regions over the past few days. Of course, they haven't been the most intense across Scotland, but nevertheless, especially the central belt has seen a number of big storms. And of course, storms are very localised, but all that water falling from does collect in rivers and low-lying areas. And when you see a widespread rainfall event like this, it can really accumulate quickly and build to cause flooding issues. So there could be some problems here. Into tomorrow, still have this yellow rainfall warning issued until the early morning, but likely to still see some of those lingering disruption into the afternoon. Now, if you look at the UKV, you can see the rainfall spreading northwards earlier today, continuing to be very heavy and thundery in places, but through this evening losing its intensity. And thundery nature. Through the evening, rain heading in for southern regions, looking very intense there through around the midnight point. Dark orange is appearing there, so torrential rainfall, so giving a long spell of rain in these regions as well. As we head into Tuesday afternoon, more heavy thundery showers in northern and western regions, but not quite clustering majorly anywhere. Could be a longer spell of rain there through Northern Ireland, perhaps eastern Scotland and through parts of the Midlands. But most other regions seeing a scattering of showers and storms. So there could be some issues tomorrow once again. And there is the possibility we could see a snap yellow warning issue tomorrow morning again. Do keep up to date with that, as probably it's one of those things where by the time I get to the video tomorrow afternoon, the warning's already been issued and it is already in effect. So do check out the Met Office warnings. They normally do update them around 10, 11 a.m. in the morning. So especially for days like tomorrow, where it is probably touch and go in some regions, depending on some of the overnight runs, whether we do see a warning issue, do check up on that in the morning. But through the rest of tomorrow evening, showers do degrade away. And then as we head into Wednesday, more showers, more sunshine, perhaps less thick cloud around, especially for England, Wales and parts of the Republic of Ireland. And then as we head into Thursday, more showers in places, but losing their intensity a bit, as we do see a brief ridge of high pressure. So cutting off those showers a little bit, but not too much. And by Friday, more heavy rain moving in. And again, this could be a big rainfall event, especially in northern and western regions with multiple batches of significant rainfall continuing all the way into Saturday. It's giving a miserable day on Friday in many regions, especially in the west. And that could continue into Saturday as well. If you do look at the max temperatures, you can see today just about peaking 24, maybe 25 in the Far East, but most regions high teens at best, really. Into tomorrow, continuation of this, not seeing that low to mid 20s in the east, more likely 17 to 20 degrees, maybe peaking at 21 or 22 in a few spots, but pretty cold and unsettled in most regions. Into Wednesday, another day of low 20s, 20 to 23 elsewhere, cooler than that. And then finally, as we get into Friday, you can see again 20 to 24, perhaps in the best at the east. But remember, that is average July temperatures, July high temperatures in the London region, and that is what we're seeing at best in some places. So we are really just about hitting average in a couple of regions, but most areas below average, with mid-teens or even low teens in some areas in the north and west, really suffering over the coming days. And as we can see on the longer range, perhaps even the coming weeks as well. Now, if you have a look at the latest GFS, you can see the low pressure coming in off the Atlantic at the moment to continue to move in because they're very unsettled. And again, even pulling in northerly winds for a time, perhaps next week, that would cool things down significantly, and all the way to 300 hours and beyond. West to northwesterly flow. Air mass below average, and again you can see just low pressure rumbling in off the Atlantic, and even as I said, at times could see northerly winds which does pull in some pretty cold air. Look at the potential equivalent temperature, even some blues appearing there. I've even seen some people potentially saying there is the risk of a bit of snowfall perhaps over the highest routes of Scotland, over Ben Nevis, etc., right over the peaks. If we did see a direct northerly like this, again, if we look at the United Kingdom, go to the dew points, there is the possibility we could get down to freezing over some of the highest routes. 2 meter temperatures, look at that, struggling around the high single digits. And again, over the highest routes, it's colder than that. Even if we put on the very detailed dew points, again, single digits of 7 or 8 degrees there. Again, colder over the highest routes. So these are low-lying regions. Generally low resolution compared to what would require for any winteriness. There is the possibility, if we did see a direct northerly, like this GFS perhaps hinting at, there is the possibility of seeing something a little bit wintry maybe in the highest routes of Scotland. I can't believe I'm saying that in July, but there is the risk if we did see the coldest air move in. But it's only a possibility if we did see that direct northerly. If we do have a look at the GM now, again, a westerly flow coming in with very unsettled conditions. As we head beyond that, there is the possibility once again of seeing northerly wind, but it's just getting cut off by more lows coming in off the Atlantic, and the upper air temperatures are generally average to below average, nothing exceptional at all, generally blues dominating. If we compare to the ECMWF, it's looking pretty similar, if I'm being honest. Low pressure continue to dominate and keep things pretty horrible indeed. And all the way to 240 hours, low pressure still nearby. Cold air mass coming in off the Atlantic and blue air masses. Sound like a repeating record here, a broken record, as we do have loads of low pressure systems near or close by from all models and below average temperatures from all models as well. And we see this reflected on the ensembles below average for the foreseeable future. Only perhaps a month ago now, about 4 weeks ago, as we are heading into the middle to end of June, the ensembles were all well above average, and we're seeing complete reversal now with all ensemble members pretty much below average. Small warm sector peaks are temperatures getting to just about average with increased rainfall. So even when the upper air temperatures may be increasing a slight bit, humidity temperatures increasing slightly, it's going to be associated with thicker cloud and heavy rain. And that is a consistent signal here as well. Again, London furthest away from the unsettled weather, so it's not going to be the worst here, but compared to what we expect, really, it's not great. If we do look at Glasgow, for example, much higher precipitation, still well below average, really quite miserable. And again, if we were looking for any runs to show any winteriness, you'd want the upper air temperatures to drop down to freezing or below. There is small hints of that through the last week or so of July, but nothing definitive at this stage. Just a little bit of a hints there from some of these ensemble members. And if we just finish by looking at the ECMWF, just to compare, just to make sure the GFS isn't being anomalous, which it has done in the past, but it is not in this case. ECMWF ensembles are well below average as well. Upper air temperatures are abysmal, and lots of frequent rainfall spikes as well. Again, not meaning it's wash out all the time. Even this week, we're going to see plenty of dry and sunny weather in places, but it's always going to have the risk of showers, and especially if you're in the north and west, closer to the centre of these lows, it could be really quite abysmal at times, like you're into October time when those low pressure systems are starting to churn up and the jet stream is starting to form and starting to really push back in off the Atlantic in its sort of usual Atlantic autumnal stormy spell. We do generally see most years sort of typical autumnal low pressure systems. That's the sort of pattern we could be seeing over the next week or two. Really not great. Hopefully we do see a bit of a change. But the hottest time of the year that we generally do have, which is July period, especially the second half of July, it's going to be abysmal this year. As I've said in the past few videos, complete contrast to this time last year, where we were looking at charts showing 40 degrees. Nothing like that is even on the cards this year. Not even a single ensemble member showing probably above 30 degrees. Maybe one anomalous ECMWF run here showing 30 degrees. The rest struggling to get into the mid to high 20s at best. So yeah, pretty abysmal. So do enjoy the dry and warmer weather we will have in glimpses, as the sun is still relatively strong, so it still does feel pretty decent out there, even if the temperatures are not all too great. So do enjoy those periods, as it's not going to be a complete washout all the time, but really, from what we'd expect this time of year, what a lot of people would expect, it's not great. So anyway, thanks for watching. Hope you have enjoyed. Make sure you stay safe, as there's going to be more heavy showers, thunderstorms, and most likely some flooding disruption. I'll see you again for another video soon.